Hello, Cairo Nation. It's your girl, Dr. K, and I have a treat for you today. We are here doing another fantastic teacher talk, and today we are going to showcase the phenomenal educator, Madison Hausdorf. Madison has a lot to share with you, and I can't wait for you to learn more about her. So let's hop right into it. Madison, tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Kairos.
Of course. We know my name is Madison. I am a theater professional, but also a theater educator. So I went to school specifically for theater. I spent one of my college years at the Webster Theater Conservatory as a directing major, where I learned so much information. It was just like the school was just a little too big for me. So I transferred over to Culver Stockton College, where I was able to major in theater and media communications so that I could just like bring theater and media to the youth.
Yes.
I've worked in youth theater for a long time, and I'm specifically passionate about working in underserved communities in St. Louis because anyone can just, you can go to Ladue, you can go to, Fort Zumwalt, you can go to Parkway, but I'm like specifically interested in schools that typically have like underserved arts programs. And when I found Kairos, when my friend, one of our history teachers, she kind of had a tour here and she told me all about it, I was like, oh my gosh, my school that I was at the last couple years, they were actually taking away my theater program. And when I met with Neelish, he specifically told me that what he wanted for the theater program was for the kids to have a creative outlet. Like I knew that this was a place that I wanted to be. It's not all about making money. It's not all about the logistics of it. It's literally just about giving the kids some sort of creativity. And that is like what I'm here for. Theater can sometimes be considered a dying art. I do not think it is, but
It's not.
I want to no, I want to bring that kind of passion to our kids here so they can kind of bring that on to their generation and future generations.
Absolutely. And Madison, when I'm looking at where you currently are located, I see the set of something great that is
Oh
brewing
yeah.
behind you. So I think that is really appropriate. But I want to tell the people that in the high school, we have this new newsletter. It's called The Kraken. And so I like to know what's going on and how are the kids really being centered. And so I saw an article of you being highlighted and it talked about you as a director and you kind of told us a little bit of how you got into it, but share with our audience, especially people who read the article, a little bit more about, like you said, you being a director, why you fell in love with theater. And a lot of schools are, like you mentioned, cutting the funding, but here it's at the forefront of how we put students center and we make sure that it's a holistic approach to giving them that outlet to be able to explore more about themselves. So talk a little bit more about this article and about like how you use theater to give those creative outlets.
Yeah, of course. First, the article was a complete surprise to me. I had actually one of my theater students, she was like, hey, can I come interview you? And I thought it was an article about like just A Doll's House, which is the play that we're doing. And so I was shocked myself to see that I was being featured. But I've always done theater. Like it has been a thing that I've been interested in, even as like a kid when I was trying all sorts of different things, when I was trying t-ball and cheerleading and all the things that everybody does. I just like, I've always loved the idea of like performing, and specifically from a young age, I really, really liked the idea of like directing and making a full picture happen, starting from just like a script and words to this big, amazing piece that
Yes, show us
literally
that
just like,
screen.
yes, yes, it just like, it just leaps off the pages. I have a wild imagination. And I feel like Kairos was like the perfect opportunity for me to come in here and build this amazing theater program. Because the process itself is really helpful for kids.
Mhm.
Because not only is theater like, oh, it's fun and it's creative, because we want kids to be able to be imaginative and creative in whatever they're doing, but it's also like the process. You're learning how to have good time management. You're learning how to work well with people. You're learning how to be creative. You're learning how to do all these different skills that are going to help you not only in high school, but when you're moving on in life. I've only gotten jobs before because of my experience in theater and because I can just like work with whatever I have and make something magical happen. I really feel like it is important and that creative outlet is amazing for kids to experience, even the kids who aren't necessarily like I love theater. It's even the kids who are just like thrown into my theater class and they end up loving a project that we're doing, or they end up leaving saying, it wasn't my favorite class, but I did learn how to talk in front of the class.
Mhm.
If that's what they're learning, if that's what I've taught them, that they're not nervous to speak in front of their peers anymore, that is like I did something. We did something as a class and as a community to help them in the future.
Absolutely. And what I can appreciate is everyone knows that we are project based and that our curriculum is on that platform called Summit. However, even with our electives, I can appreciate how you're allowed to kind of see how the projects come apart and even how they work together and have different components of it that help them develop those executive functioning skills that allow them to be able to have things that are transferable as far as their skill sets to go into a lot of other places and still have a level of success. I do want to transition into a doll's house. So you talked about the beautiful set and the kids that help you bring that to life. I know that they're helping with wardrobe, they're helping with the makeup. Can
Mhm.
you tell me a little bit more about why you selected this play and what has been maybe one of the most aha moments when you've watched the kids come to life with the characters and how they've grown and really shown that development through this whole process to create a doll's house?
Yeah. Whenever I go through my play selection process, the first thing you always have to do is look at who do you have at the school. So I actually had a wonderful chance to come and see Alice in Wonderland last year for the play that they did. So I was able to see the kids that we already had, and I met a couple of them. And so first is like, what kind of bodies do we have? How many people do we have? What type of actors do we have? And the next thing I always look at is I want to always tell a story that is meaningful. A Doll's House to me is a statement on women and women's rights and like how women are perceived in the world. And so the original play is written in the 1800s by Henrik Ibsen. And so it kind of circulates around that time period. But when I was reading it, I was like, I love this play, but how can I make the kids love the play? And so I saw the parallels between women in the 1950s and the 1800s. And so I brought it to a whole new decade, a whole new type of world
The
where it
modernization going on there.
yeah, where it's possible that when Henrik Ibsen originally wrote the play, it's like, oh my God, a woman leaving her husband, that's crazy.
Mm.
It just seemed more plausible to me in the 1950s that Nora can make that choice. And maybe it can work out well for her rather than her just like running back to Torvald in the end. And so I really loved being able to bring this story to life and being able to have the kids like experience what this could kind of mean for women and like what gender roles do look like. We have a lot of really fluid kids. And so I have kids that are playing, opposite people than they relate to. And it's really kind of opened their eyes. And for my aha moment, it's just, I had a bunch of people step up. They're like, we're going to make this happen. I had two actors, out on the phone. They were like calling people like, hey, can you make this happen? Can you make this happen? And so my aha is just like, the willingness that they have to make this show happen and the dedication because they are so dedicated to this. And I am just like aghast at how incredibly and how gracefully they are handling every single obstacle that has been thrown in our way every single time.
Where your passion is infectious and it is no wonder that everyone really enjoys your class. And I appreciate you placing that value on team and family. Another question that I have for you is when we think about the learners, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, how do you approach all learners, making sure that they're engaged in the content and that they actually walk away feeling empowered to be able to try something different, get outside their comfort zone, or even to maybe spark something that may have gone unnoticed inside of them and to bring it alive and say, actually, I like theater and I'm good at it. So tell me, what is your approach or some strategies and tactics you use to make sure that the learning is not only sticky, but accessible to all of your scholars?
Of course. So, number one, I am just like, I don't know if you could tell, but I'm like the most passionate person about theater. So I kind of like hammer my passion into their head. If they're like struggling for a moment, I'm like, come on, you can do it. Just like to get them to try it. Cause that's a lot of what my class is trying. And
Mhm.
then I scaffold my work in such a way that it is accessible to everyone from my highest learner to my like trickiest learner. I scaffold it in such a way that everyone can do it. So we don't have to sit there and like, oh, well, you don't understand this assignment. Let's fix it for you. It is for every single person who walks into my classroom, which I think is what makes theater unique is I am able to do that. And then I do all of my projects in such a way that they're very, it's all the checkpoints. So right now we're in technical theater. And so we started with a sketch. And then after the sketch, you have to do like a model and you have to do planning and you have to do all these things. So in like our project that we're doing right now, they can either choose costuming or they can choose set build. Are they better drawers or are they better like at thinking creatively or better builders? And they can kind of it's like a choose your own adventure
Like a
for our
choice.
projects. Yeah. So I'm giving them a choice. Like, these are the skills I need you to learn. Now, how do you want to apply that skill? And so as we move on through the year, it's going to get more like performance based. So, they're going to be in groups and they get to write their own plays and they have to perform them. And so what really is, I'm teaching them, but they're teaching me a lot. I'm used to more of a traditional schooling type. So what the kids are actually teaching me is to be more fluid and flexible. And I've changed up a ton of my projects because I want the kids to get that project base. I want them to get all of it they can. So like, however I'm scaffolding it, they are teaching me more this year than I have ever taught myself and what I'm teaching them. And that's really what I'm getting out of my classes.
Mm-hmm. And that actually speaks to the core of when we talk about student-centered learning. The facilitator should be able to be a guide, but the students should be the ones leading it and being in the driver's seat of what they want that experience to be. You also talked about, like you said, giving kids a choice and how they want to show up in the space and develop a skill set. It makes me think about a lot of the conversation now when we think about charter schools and parents have a choice and students have a choice on where they go. If you were to talk to people who were considering Kairos as an option, because I love parents having a choice. I love the fact that teachers choose us, parents choose us, scholars choose us. But what are some things that you would want them to know about Kairos in general as they are considering us as an option in the future? Or even if people wanted to come to the play, I want you to definitely plug the information in the times. But what could you give them as far as insight to help them with their decision making when you're saying, hey, you have a lot of options and options are great because you should choose the place that's going to be not necessarily a right fit for you, but where you can develop a sense of belonging?
Kairos is an incredibly amazing school. Like, this place baffles me every day I am here, from the like staff support. So like as a teacher, the support that I get from like my principals and like our regional team, like the support is incredible. But then even coming from like, as like I'm the teacher with my students, like the level of support that we provide for students through our like pod and podling kind of system that we have, it is incredible and it works. The school is positive. The learning is incredible. Sometimes it takes a little bit of getting used to more of that independent style learning, but what it's showing and what I'm seeing in our students is like they are able to think more freely and creatively. And that is like what it's all about. There's not too much hand holding. There's not too much like they're struggling, but the struggle is a good struggle when they are struggling. It's like
Productive struggle.
it's a productive struggle. And I love every second that I am here every single day. And I wish that we had more amazing students because every kid deserves to be in a space where the adults truly, truly care about them and truly care about their education and what they're getting. To come into a school where like kids are not just a number, they are names, they are faces, they are people. We see them every single day, no matter what they're going through. And it just makes me so proud to be a Kraken. I just want to say that I am so appreciative to like be here talking to you and then be here physically working for probably one of the best schools so far in the St. Louis city.
I hope everyone has enjoyed our teacher talk today, learning more about the magnificent Madison and the magic that she is bringing to Kairos. We want you to come out and not only we can talk about it, but we actually want you to see about it. Come and watch this magic unfold at our theater. And until next time, bye.
Bye.